Hi everybody, I'm back with another Project Life process video. This is actually an older spread. I think I filmed this back last summer. But anyways, it's documenting a trip I took to the Phoenix Zoo. And this is using the Studio Calico Life is Good documenter kit from last May, so May 2021. And I chose this kit mainly because, it was what I had at the time. But this kit actually included a lot of animal print kind of patterns, which I thought went really well with this particular spread, this story that I'm documenting of my trip to the zoo, because, I've got a picture of a tiger and I've got tiger print. And so it worked out really well. And so once I've chosen my cards, I start off by trimming my photo. This is just a selfie that I took after I got a haircut. Not the same day as the zoo, but it was the same week, I believe, and so I just kind of added that to the spread as well. And I'm backing that up on this kind of green and pink paisley kind of pattern. And so I trim it down just so that it'll show a bit more of the background. And then I go ahead and adhere that down with my ATG. And I believe that's all I did with this card. Okay, and moving on, I believe I moved on to this picture of these two milk frogs, I believe is what they were called. They were adorable. They were sitting there on that log. It kind of looked like they were kissing, and so I, of course, had to take a picture. And then I will come back to that card in a couple of minutes. But then I'm moving on to my title card, which is this pink dot grid. And I kind of shuffled through my alphas and decided on this wood grain with gold glitter kind of on the outside. And I spelled out PHXZOO, so Phoenix Zoo. And I was actually really excited because this title used up a lot of letters that I don't normally use, such as the Z and the X. And so I was a little bit proud of that because normally those letters never get used. And they just kind of end up sitting on the sheet for ages. And here I'm deciding if I want to add some embellishments. And so I grab my little Target tray of embellishments, not just from this kit, but from my stash in general, the ones that kind of coordinate with the color palette. And I consider this green, you can't really see it yet, but it's like a leaf kind of bit. And I'm just digging through to make sure there's nothing else that I would rather have on that page. I try a different couple bits, but I do settle on this green leaf. And so I adhere it down, and then I end up having to trim off the very bottom of it just because it sticks down a little too far over the edge. And then I go back to my chipboard sheet, or it's not really on the sheet anymore. I guess I had poked out little chipboard bits, but I selected this light pink grid to go on this photo of the tiger drinking water. And then I'm kind of digging through. I consider one of these pink word strips, but I decide against it. And now I'm kind of drumming my fingers, trying to decide what I want to do. But I decide to return to this frog picture to add a label and some embellishing. And so I go for this light pink label, and then I'm trying to decide what I want to layer in addition, and I consider this ticket that I believe is from Citrus Twist. It was just kind of in my stash. And I didn't like how it was looking all layered like that, and so I moved on to this chipboard, also from the Studio Calico kit. It has the kind of olive green color in it again. And so I went ahead and adhered down that label, kind of sitting off the edge a little bit. That's kind of a typical thing for me for my spreads. And then I went ahead and decided to adhere down that chipboard piece. And then I grabbed my handy dandy Pilot G2 pen and just added a little bit of journaling, just so I don't look back at this photo in 4 years and be like, what the heck are these frogs? Why did I take a picture of them? Whoops. And then I just kind of showed you briefly what the card looks like. And then I picked out this kind of filler card that says today was a good day. It's a thought bubble or speech bubble. Yeah, speech bubble, because the thought bubbles have little like bubble bits. I don't really know what to call them. But so I grabbed my black pen again and I just drew a quick little outline and then followed that by a dotted outline around kind of the right half of the speech bubble to kind of make it look 3D or kind of dimensional. And then you can see when I twiddle my fingers like that, it's because I don't really know what I want to do. And so I moved on to this tiger stripe, and I am kind of digging through. I feel like I want to add a phrase to it. And so I go ahead and I select a phrase. I believe that's a Maggie Holmes sticker that says, "Love these summer days." Even though technically in May, it's not really summer, but it's hot enough here in Phoenix that it definitely counts as summer in my brain. I actually ended up getting a pretty bad heat migraine this day after being outside in the sun all day. But oh well, it was cool to go to the zoo anyways. And so I do end up coming back to that tiger stripe because with that sticker being clear, you can hardly read what it says. But I will come back and fix that later. But I decided to move on to this picture of the egrets, the two birds, which are not technically part of the zoo, but they moved in because, you know, there's a lot of food, a lot of water, good landscaping, and I got really close to these birds, and so I took a picture of them even though they're not officially part of the zoo. And then I used the other half of that chipboard that I cut up for the tiger picture and kind of layered that, just like all the other cards, with the label sticker and the chipboard kind of layered on there. And I'm not sure what I'm doing here, but I continue my journaling again with that same black pen, just writing down what was special about these birds. And I actually did see their nest and some chicks in it as well, but I wasn't able to get a good picture of the chicks. So now I'm going to return to working tiger print card because the sticker is just bothering me. And so I go digging through my yellow embellishments. I'm not really sure why I picked yellow because there's no yellow anywhere else on this page, but I don't end up going with any of those. I try a couple other different items. This little green circle doesn't end up working. And then I keep digging, thinking, and I decide to go with this craft tag. And so I decide to peel up this sticker and attach it onto the front of this tag to kind of give it more of a background, to let it stand out more, because it was just blending too much into the black stripes. And so I go ahead and adhere that down just with my ATG, and I decide before I attach it down, I want to look and see if there's any other little bits of paper that I want to layer behind it, just kind of underneath or on top of the tag. And I try this light blue paper because I feel like it matches with the periwinkle color of the flowers. And so I cut out a little strip of this blue to try and adhere it underneath, and here I am just kind of snipping it up into the right shape of a little kind of banner piece. And then I go ahead and I stick down this tag and then trim off the excess on the side. And then I decide I don't want to go with that periwinkle blue, so instead I pull out my white gel pen and I decide to do a little outline around this tag to kind of set it apart from the background, kind of give it a little bit more contrast. And then I also go around the circular part. What do you call that? The aglet? No, the aglet, that's a shoelace thing. Either way, I decide not to go with that light blue, and I will come back to that tag, or to that card once again, but in the meantime I decide to move on. I kind of go through and I decide to add a white outline around the speech bubble as well to tie in that white color, you know, further throughout the spread. And so I trace around the other outlines that I already did, and once I'm done with that, I, you know, kind of consider other embellishments that I want to add. And so I consider these circular embellishments, but I decide not to go with them because they're all food themed and none of this is foodie. And so at this point, I'm a little out of frame, and I apologize for that, but I kind of go through all of my embellishments, all of the stickers, and I decide to add a few more bits and pieces throughout the spread. And then I pull out this crepe paper sticker book, my tried and true favorite sticker, well, one of my favorite sticker books, and I decide maybe I'll go with some of these leaves, but they all turn out to be a little too big. And so I keep flipping through. I consider some of these other little banners, some of these triangles, some these ones that look like little Polaroids, and I end up deciding to grab one of these pink geotags to throw onto the chipboard on the picture of the tiger. And as I keep flipping through, I decide to grab some of my enamel dots. I have this set of pink, yellow, and white that go really well with the spread. And I dig through the stash that I have of other enamel bits and pieces, and I don't decide to go with any of those because none of them really go with the colors or the theme that I'm kind of hanging on to. I don't have much that matches with the kind of dark pink and orange and black, and so eventually I go back to some other embellishments, and you can't see where they're going. They're on one of the other cards, but you will see that at the very end when I show the page as it's finished. And then I'm returning to the crepe paper sticker book, and I grab this gold and white floral banner piece, and I decide to stick that onto the tag, or underneath the tag rather. I think that's all I end up going with. I think I consider a couple other little strips, but at this point I'm ready to kind of wrap up this page. And overall I'm happy with how it turned out. It was definitely one of those times when I had to trust the process a little bit. I think the last thing that I do add is a couple more enamel dots that you'll see at the end. And then I believe I do grab one of these little strips of paper after I'm done journaling. I think I add something to the photo of the elephant, which we'll see in a couple seconds. Oh, and right now I'm adding some little dots, some little sprinkly bits, as Adele from Inky Quill calls them, around some of the other cards. And then, yeah, here we are. Here's the kind of pink chevron that I used on the elephant photo, and then I consider a little thin strip of a phrase, and I don't go with that. And anyways, here's the finished product. Here's the page. As you can see, there are all the little sprinkly bits. I'm, pretty happy with this. I love the color palette of it. And yeah, thanks so much for joining me. We'll see you again soon.